Good morning. Sean and Sam have asked the elders to, on a weekly basis, do a devotional, and I guess I'm the leadoff hitter, or might say the guinea pig, whatever. But our devotional this morning centers around Matthew chapter 25, the first 13 verses. And while you're turning there, this is a very familiar parable of Jesus, as one of the 32 parables that are recorded in the Gospels. And it is the parable of the 5 foolish virgins and the 5 wise virgins. A little background here. Jesus had just finished what is commonly called the Olivet Discourse, and he had been talking to his apostles about answering the questions concerning his coming back and also the end of the age. And this is a continuation of that discussion, and he addresses it with 5 parables. This is the first of those parables. And we're not going to take the time to read it, but in the first verse, at that time, the kingdom of heaven will be like 10 virgins. These virgins, or bridesmaids, were to be part of the wedding party. They had grown weary and tired and fallen asleep, and when the bridegroom came and was proclaimed, "The bridegroom cometh," they were awakened, of course, and 5 had enough oil to continue to fuel their lamps. The 5 foolish ones did not. They asked the 5 wise virgins if they could borrow from their oil, and they were told there would not be enough for both of them. So they advised them to go ahead and go to a merchant and to purchase the oil. In the meantime, the bridegroom came by, and the 5 wise virgins joined the party and went on to the banquet. Eventually, the 5 foolish virgins arrived, but were denied admission into the banquet because the bridegroom said, "I don't know you." And then Jesus, the overwhelming theme of this particular parable, is summed up in the very last verse where Jesus says, "Therefore, keep watch, because you do not know the day or the hour." Now, Jesus is talking to his apostles, who would certainly have understood this parable much better than we do. In Jewish times in the first century, they understood the traditions and the customs of a Jewish wedding. And when a man was betrothed to a woman, this betrothal could last up to a year. And in that time, the woman was to be prepared whenever the bridegroom came to get her. And in turn, the bridegroom was to go back to his father's house, and they would build an addition onto the father's house, or in some cases even an additional house, as a dwelling place for the couple to live in. Only the father knew when that project was going to be completed, and it would not be completed until he declared it suitable for living. And when he did, he would notify the son, "You may go and claim your bride." The son would then gather his groomsmen. They would head toward her home. And this was not something that was unknown to people. It was not quiet at all. In fact, they shouted, in some cases sang or chanted, and even blew trumpets at times to let people know that he was coming to claim his bride. When he arrived, they would have a brief marriage ceremony at her home, and then they would head back to the father's home for the banquet, which in some cases lasted up to a week. And of course, along the way, they would pick up the bridesmaids and others who would have their lamps, because most Jewish weddings took place at night. Now, the symbolism here is rich. Obviously, the Father symbolized God. The Son, Jesus. The groomsmen, the angels that would accompany Jesus to claim his bride. His bride being the church. And of course, those virgins, those bridesmaids, represent us. Are we prepared, or are we not? Do we have the oil? The oil being representative of spiritual awareness and having the fuel to continue to allow our lights to shine brightly. That's our responsibility and no one else's. It's easy to become lax, to become complacent, and to fall asleep as they had done. But we know not the time when he will come, and therefore we are to be prepared. And we can do this. We can have our spiritual oil in our lamps by reading, studying, and carrying out God's Word. And so we encourage you this morning to do that very thing. If you need anything from the elders or from Sean or Sam, please don't hesitate to call us. We are working on contingency plans to meet depending upon some of the stipulations put forth by the governor. We hope to be able to be together again. But until that time, let's encourage one another in any way we can, whether it be through text or email or cards or phone calls. And we all look forward to the time we can be back together as the church family here. We want you to know that we love you, we care for you, and we appreciate you. Hope you have a great day.